after humans go too far with their experiments on genetically engineered beings, Earth suffers an ecological collapse in the future. Engineered viruses and organisms wreak havoc on food plants, all animals, and a substantial portion of the human population. While everyone else fights to exist, an oligarchy now reigns in walled cities called citadels. And in order to procure food, these people rely on seeds exchanged by the citadels that are engineered to yield just one harvest. Vesper, a 13-year-old girl who lives with her disabled father Darius, is one of these survivalists. His mind has been transferred into a drone that follows his daughter around to keep her company and allow him to communicate with her. Vesper is a highly brilliant youngster. She not only goes foraging every day, but she also has some biology and biohacking expertise that allows her to employ the plants and bugs she discovers in her study at an abandoned lab in the neighborhood. She is also the one who keeps her father alive by maintaining the equipment to which he is hooked. Darius is highly protective of his daughter and does not approve of her talking about finding a means to escape or following a pilgrim out of curiosity to see where they go. Vesper arrives home one day to find that they've stolen the generator that powers the entire house, including Darius's machine, which has been sabotaged. If she wishes to keep her father alive, she must travel to a nearby farm and ask for assistance. When she arrives, she discovers that they are experiencing problems with their jug, a genetically engineered human being devoid of brains who is employed for hard work. The jug was injured while working and is now worthless. So Commander Jonas, Darius's brother, orders the youngster in charge to put the beast out of its agony. Jonas claims it has no feelings because it was created in a laboratory. But when the boy kills it, the monster fights back and screams. When the distressing performance is complete, Vesper approaches Jonas and asks for some bacteria to fuel the generator again in exchange for a blood donation. Jonas needs blood to buy seeds from the citadels, but Vesper only comes to give when she has an emergency. Her blood will no longer be helpful as she grows older, which is why Jonas wants her to come to live with them, pledging to take care of her father as well. Vesper, on the other hand, rejects, since she knows he wants to make her one of his breeders. And he's constantly disturbing in the way he points out how much she looks like her mother, who abandoned them a year ago. When the donation is complete, Jonas refuses to pay Vesper with the matching bacteria, stating that he must first sell the blood, which will take a few days. Darius won't last long without the machine, and an enraged Vesper tries to reclaim her blood, but Jonas catches her and tosses her out. Vesper returns seconds later, not ready to let up, and sneaks into the farm through a breach in the fence only she knows about. Jonas's assistant notices her, but decides not to report her, allowing Vesper to get into Jonas's lab and steal the bacteria she is due. While she's there, she takes use of the opportunity to steal some of the seeds Jonas had obtained from the Citadel. Speaking of the Citadel, Vesper can't help but notice one of the Citadel's gliders flying lower than normal on her way home. At home, Vesper repairs the generator before beginning work on the seeds, hoping that her knowledge would earn her a position at the Citadel. Darius tries to explain that no matter how clever she is, they would never accept her, hurting Vesper and forcing her to leave the house in tears. She is surprised to discover the body of Camellia, a lady whose attire implies she is from the Citadel while rushing through the jungle. Despite the fact that she is asleep, she is still alive. So Vesper pushes all the organisms away and pulls Camellia home, where she treats the wounds with a synthetic patch she created herself. Later that evening, Camellia awakens and overhears Vesper and Darius fighting about what to do with her. Vesper believes she can take them to the Citadel, while Darius doubts her and believes they should leave her to die in the forest. Camellia, worried and terrified, grabs a knife from the kitchen and conceals it under her pillow before Vesper arrives to check on her. Camellia reveals that the glider Vesper witnessed yesterday crashed and she was in it. as was her father, but they were separated and she now wants to find him. Camellia isn't quite strong enough to walk, but she offers a prize for their assistance. So Vesper agrees to seek for her father in the jungle, even if Darius doesn't agree. Camellia discovers during dinner that Darius was injured while serving in the Citadel army, and all they offered him was the drone, which is why he doesn't trust them. When Darius has a seizure, Camellia calms him down by kissing him, which quickly puts him to sleep. The following morning, Vesper continues her hunt and promptly locates the glider carrying Camelia's father, Elias. Unfortunately, she isn't the only one who has arrived. Jonas and a gang of survivalists have also arrived to investigate the disaster. Jonas approaches Elias and ignores his calls for aid, instead deciding to kill him since he is from the Citadel. When Vesper attempts to stop him, Jonas just pushes her away, albeit he becomes skeptical of her motives for caring so much about a stranger. He also discovers a woman's scarf inside the glider, indicating that there is another passenger to be found. Darius then advises Vesper to warn Camellia that they discovered nothing and to notify the Citadel before Camellia does anything hasty or Jonas discovers her. But the sole transceiver is at Jonas's residence. When they get home, Vesper tells Camellia she'll start looking for her father the next day. Her wounds are healing owing to Vesper's synthetic patches. And because Camellia is amazed, Vesper decides to trust her and show her the hidden greenhouse where she stores all of the plants she's bioengineered herself. They all have unique powers and personalities, and Vesper is proud of them all. However, she still hopes to find the optimal combination for producing edible seeds. While Vesper is distracted by one of the plants, Darius approaches Camellia and tells her that he knows she won't be able to take them to the Citadel. But she should be gentle since Vesper trusts her and this dream means everything to her. Camellia inquires of Vesper about her mother, who left a year ago to join the Pilgrims after losing her voice. Pilgrims are individuals who travel in groups with veils over their faces, scavenging old rubbish. But no one knows why because they don't talk. Some legends suggest it's a virus that causes them to be pilgrims, which would imply Vesper's mother had no option. Vesper takes out a book with images of creatures she never got to meet, but Camellia did. So she shares her experience and teaches Vesper the noises they make after Camellia reveals she never saw her own mother. Knowing that the Citadel can house actual animals, Vesper asks why the survivalists aren't permitted to live there as well. Camellia explains that the higher-ups are concerned that opening their doors might imply a lack of resources. Vesper believes they could accomplish the worst duties without having to manufacture jugs. But Camellia reminds her that the Citadel prefers control, and jugs, unlike individuals, do not fight back. Following that, Vesper brings her mother's old violin and sings as Camellia plays it. The next day, Vesper goes back into Jonas's house to try to use the transceiver again. But this time, Jonas notices Darius's drone and catches it. While pretending to mend it, Jonas informs Vesper about his stolen seeds and the mystery of the missing passenger before remarking that he dislikes liars, especially when they are members of his own family. Refusing to confess, Vesper snatches the drone and flees, only to learn that the drone is incapable of flight and crashes as soon as it attempts to take off. Vesper discovers a body behind a tree while attempting to collect the drone. It's Jonas's helper who was left to die. Before she can ponder if he was murdered for assisting her, a swarm of Jonas's minions arrives and pushes Vesper to the ground, where they restrain her and place a seal on her palm, identifying her as Jonas's property. When Vesper arrives home, she suffers a nervous breakdown, and Camellia immediately comforts her, making her feel horrible for lying and forcing her to admit Elias is gone. Vesper brings Camellia to view the body, which is drifting in the river, to confirm it. Camellia is having a nervous breakdown and clinging to her father, so Vesper needs to get her out of the water before she drowns. Vesper finds a strange scar on Camelia's back that responds when she touches it while holding her. Camelia is shown to be an extraordinarily advanced jug developed by Elias, who was expelled from the Citadel for creating a clever slave. Camelia also lied. She would never have been able to bring Vesper and her father inside the Citadel if she hadn't been on the run. Vesper is enraged and strikes her before they get home, where she instructs Camelia to go once she cleans up. Then Vesper repairs the drone, and after telling her father what happened, Darius urges her not to be too harsh on Camelia because they can only obey instructions, and she had no option. Meanwhile, Camelia gets a tool to put an end to things before the Citadel finds her, but Darius's words change Vesper's mind, and she comes just in time to stop her. Because Camelia thinks she no longer has a purpose, Vesper offers to extract a sample from her so Camelia's cells can be valuable for her study. Of course, this is easier said than done since, like the seeds, Camelia's cells are also shut. Camelia decides to play for Vesper after noticing how irritated she is because Elias used to claim music helped him concentrate. This proves to be a brilliant plan since the sound of Camelia's song unlocks her cells, allowing Vesper to finally change the Citadel's seeds and make them viable, ensuring that they would never go hungry again. Vesper will need additional filters to make further progress, so she takes a fast trip to the old lab with the drone to acquire more gear. Meanwhile, Camelia remains at home, keeping an eye on Darius's body, which means Jonas discovers her when he comes over to check on his niece. Camelia first plays the innocent card, but Jonas catches on and threatens to kill Darius, forcing Camelia to agree to leave with him without a fight. When she turns around, Jonas notices the mark on her back and assumes she's a jug, so he throws her against the table in an attempt to reprogram her cells and force her to accept him as her new master. At that time, Vesper reappears and pulls him away, sparking a struggle in which the drone and Camelia also participate. They overcome Jonas with their combined efforts, but Vesper refuses to murder him. Instead, she makes a deal. If Jonas does not summon the Citadel, Vesper will give him the secret to unlocking the seeds, allowing him to feed his people. Jonas appears to accept, but as soon as he returns to the farm, he contacts the Citadel and informs them of the whereabouts of the fugitive jug. Vesper has finished unlocking the first set of seeds by the time night falls, but there's little time to rejoice, since Darius's drone senses a presence outside, which means the Citadel has discovered them. A manufactured creature bursts into the home via every nook and corner, but Darius recognizes it from his army days and advises Vesper and Camelia not to breathe until the poison has finished bursting. Camelia then wants to turn herself in to rescue them, but Darius refuses because they will still come for Vesper only for assisting her. Instead, he offers to distract the troops while they go. Vesper does not want to leave him behind, so Darius encourages her to hide nearby and return once he informs the troops that there is no jug there, since he understands how to communicate with other army guys. When the troops come, they first go to Jonas's property to kill him and his friends. They then arrive at Darius's house, where Vesper has covered everything up in order to make it appear abandoned, before taking the seeds with her to hide with Camelia in the forest. Darius has little expectation that the troops will listen to an elderly man like him, and does not even attempt to communicate with them. His true aim is to self-destruct the drone and drag the soldiers down with him. Vesper witnesses the explosion and attempts to hurry back to aid her father, but Camelia stops her before she goes too far since there is nothing they can do. To make matters worse, 2 soldiers survived the blast and are after them. So Vesper leads Camelia through the marsh, knowing that there are hazardous plants there that can kill their foes. The first soldier slips into the trap and dies soon, but the second notices and learns to avoid the plant. Vesper and Camelia get down on their knees to creep around while hiding behind the bushes. But another plant hears them and tells the soldier their position. As the guy approaches, Vesper and Camellia decide that offense is the best defense and charge at him, rapidly seizing his weapon and striking him until he steps into the trapping zone and is killed by the plant. More gliders are approaching, and Camellia understands they'll never stop hunting her, which means Vesper and the seeds will never be secure with her around. Vesper senses something is up and attempts to object, but Camellia kisses her to sleep and buries her under fallen leaves before submitting to the troops. Vesper wakes up the following morning and goes to her house, but it has burnt down. After planting some of the unlocked seeds in her old garden, she meets a group of youngsters who escaped the attack on Jonas's farm, and together they embark on a journey to find where the pilgrims go. Pilgrim's objective turns out to be a massive tower that they've been constructing out of pieces they've collected. Vesper does not hesitate to climb the tower, and once there, she opens her palm to let the wind carry the seeds to different parts of the earth, where they can grow and spread for everyone. Thanks for watching. If you like it and want to enjoy more videos like this, please subscribe.